Hi guys, wow, look, the sun's just gone down. It's a beautiful evening. Instead of a morning, let's have an evening chat, shall we? Let's have a cozy evening chat before we all go to bed. And I think it's a wonderful day. First of all, I'd like to say welcome to Matt Bajerski YouTube channel, the channel where we have interesting conversations. Sometimes it can be a little bit challenging to hear. Sometimes it can get us very angry, and sometimes we can just quite blatantly leave and never come back again. But you know, it's a very interesting thing that if we can change the chip of, instead of running away from everything, asking ourselves, why are we running away? What is it that triggers us? And a lot of the times we're never honest with ourselves. And this leads on to a really interesting topic today. And the topic is relationships. I've been a psychic reader for 16 years now. And I've read for many people around the world, many people, from famous stars right the way to just mums and dads and, you know, businessmen, millionaires, young, 20-year-olds who are just starting out in relationships, to grandmas and granddads. And we all have something in common. And when I talk about this, I mean in relationships. So guess what that is? We don't really listen. And we don't really care. And it doesn't matter how many times you think you're listening, you don't really listen, and you don't really care, and you won't ever listen. I remember hearing that once said to me, and it kind of shook me up and said, no, how dare you? But you know, the more I get older, the more I realize it's true. We don't really listen. And the reason why I say that, and you might say that's nonsense, he did this and she did that, and that's why we're not together anymore, that's why we fight. I think the bottom line is, what I've seen and felt over my relationships and over everybody else that I've seen, is there's a lack of honesty with ourselves. We're not truthful to ourselves. And the reason why, one of the main reasons, is because we don't like to think that we are weak, or that we are not perfect, and that, you know, there's nothing wrong with me, I'm fine. And it's really hard because we couple that energy with failure. And a lot of the times it holds us back with our spiritual growth. It really does. It really holds us back tremendously, and it's filled with a lot of frustration. It's filled with a lot of heartache, a lot of pain, and in the end we can very easily lose certain things that were given to us in our life to be able to grow. And through that growth we experience an amazing shift, amazing change in our life. So where do we begin with relationships? Sorry about that, guys. That's the I think that's call for prayer. So you're going to have to listen to that while I'm talking, I'm afraid. So yeah, where do we start? I've read for many couples who came to me with their issues and problems, and I recognise really quickly that, as somebody who's a reader and has no opinion or judgment in anything, as just expressing and sharing, most of us are right and wrong. You know, there is no right or wrong, but most of us are 50-50, you know. What we're saying is probably true, but what we're doing is not listening, and vice versa. So it's a real challenge to help couples in that sense, unless you help yourself. And I think a lot of the times I targeted the individual to express myself in a way that to help them see what they couldn't see. And I think I did a good job, actually. I think I did help a lot of people along the way. But I think ultimately this topic today is more about how we can help ourselves in a relationship. The first thing is, you have to be truthful with yourself, and that is the hardest thing to overcome. That's the hardest thing to conquer. because you are going to be looking at your partner or a relationship or something like that, and you're looking for any form of defense. You're looking at what they've done wrong, what they're doing, and why they're making you feel bad. When, if you really want to change your chip and learn to be in a relationship without this, what you have to do is stand back from those feelings that you have and put yourself into that person who is saying what they're saying to you and try and understand what they're saying. Now, the reason why I say that is because I'm not so sure if you'll get this or not, but a lot of the times when you're having an argument, you'll both be having a different conversation. The conversation you're having is completely different from the conversation your partner's having. And it's almost like you're fighting, but you're fighting for your own conversations, and nobody's understanding each other because what your perception of this conversation is nothing to do with what this person's perception is, right? So you're both ultimately fighting. The only way you can truly really resolve and understand each other is to, first of all, keep your mouth shut and allow them to explain everything in detail, everything. So once you've got that, and funnily enough, there's a healing process in that too, right? Because a lot of the times if you just shut up and don't speak, you get to learn a lot as well, and learn that, oh, bloody hell, I don't listen, do I? And it's true, we don't listen. The truth is, most of us don't listen. We spend our time waiting to be able to come back with an answer because we're already thinking what we're going to answer before we've even heard what's been said by our partner, right? It's a difficult topic, right? Hello? Anybody there? Where's everybody gone? It's such a difficult one, and just so you know, I really struggle with it too. I really do, and I'm quick to, talk about my psychic attunement. I'm already there in front of my partner, and I'm already ahead of them, and that doesn't always work neither. It's not healthy. So I have to learn to zip it up and just listen. And I think that's what I work on every day. I work towards trying to stop reacting too fast, thinking what they've said was what I believe they've said, but actually 9 times out of 10, if you just zip it up and listen to what they say, you normally find your reaction isn't what you thought what they're saying. So the ultimate relationship blunder is our crazy world of misunderstanding, misinformation, and creating an illusion, creating a story that isn't actually real. It's a fictitious story in our head that we've created and now we're defending. And ultimately, the only way I think we can move forward in relationships is to stop, keep your mouth shut, and let your partner speak. And I think that is a really good start, because it's not about letting your partner speak, but it's more about you listening, because you'll never listen. Doesn't matter how many times I say it, you won't listen. Honestly, you won't. Even though you say you do, I'll say, no, you don't. No, you don't. You never will. And that is really true. We don't. But I think that's probably why the Buddha and a lot of gurus go into stillness and silence. And the reason why they do that is because they actually learn so much in that stillness. A lot of the times, guys, when I first started this field of work 16 years ago, there was an awful lot of excitement in me with the energy of learning this new beautiful world of spirituality and the psychic and the magic that was happening around me. And I used to go to certain groups and I had all these wonderful experiences, but do you know what I did? Didn't say a word. For the first time in my life, a lady called Shirley had done something to me on a healing level. And for the first time in my life, I didn't need to jump on a table and dance and to make everybody happy. I didn't need to shout out and say, look, I'm here, And it was the most exciting part of my life. And it was a relief, and it sure did make me feel a lot better in life. And, it was called soul retrieval, what she did. And it was a really interesting thing what she did. Shirley is now moved into the light. In fact, it was her birthday yesterday, and she's always in my heart. She's always around. And she taught me something through that healing session, was that, if you really want to practice the art of healing, you have to learn to listen. So I spent 16 years listening. I actually spent 16 years listening. Honestly, I did. And a lot of the times, right, and when I first started, and my clientele 16 years ago till this day will tell you the same thing. Mark never wants to hear anything. He doesn't want to know anything. So he normally tells you to shut up before you even walk into the room. And the reason why is because when you are not listening to conversation, you're hearing on a different level. You are receiving information on a different level, and you are able to listen with these two ears and digest and work on a different level. So I guess that spirituality, your life, and your relationships and friendships and partnerships should be more based on what I did, which was not to speak, just to listen. And you get far more out of life when you just listen. You receive more information that'll help you along your journey in life than you could ever imagine. And it's so true. So ultimately, if I want to share a message with you guys today, and you're saying, I'm sick of this relationship, we're always fighting, arguing, I would say it is the hardest thing in the world, but what you're going to have to do is learn to just listen and let them speak, and allow the healing process to do its own work and magic. In the stillness is a wonderful place to heal. Knee-jerk reactions in a relationship is more than often that what causes the breakups. Whereas if you step back and go for a walk, within 20 minutes, an hour, your energy shifts and changes. Whereas if you stand up, scream and shout in that instant and say, okay, that's it, it's done, we're finished, walk out, then you've created your breakup, your split. Whereas, and there's lots of other things as well. You can create your own split by your thoughts, because you're thinking something which is the complete opposite of what your partner's thinking. Remember, guys, when anybody teaches something, they need to learn it themselves just as much, if not more. Okay? So I've said that already to you, right? You've got that about me. I am not an expert. I'm just somebody who's learned to see and understand and keep his mouth shut. But still, in my own personal life, I still react, and I still I'm ahead of any conversation, and I have to learn that myself. So I do this to share with you, not only to remind me of how I should be, how I should learn to not speak in moments and just allow that moment to pass, and try and really understand what is being said by your partner, and try not to take offense by every single thing, because, like, if you're watching this, the truth is you're probably an empath, and you're probably a highly sensitive person, which means you've got the double whammy of a really challenging life of always feeling too much and reacting too quickly and being heightenedly sensitive to feel as if you're going to let somebody down. And sometimes you'd rather run away than feel like you're going to let somebody down. And that is a very common thing with sensitives and empaths. We run away too quick, when really the person who you're running away from is going, oh, what just happened there? What was that all about? And like I said, it's normally our story, nobody else's. So we have to learn to become stronger, not to react, not to make up stories in our mind that we've created this illusion that everything is because of it's my fault, and then we're shouting because it's your fault, and that's how we create split-ups, arguments, fallouts. And I think ultimately that the most important thing for me, what I've learned, not only through my clients, but in my own understanding of life and relationship, is that it's very, very important. Ultimately, it's very important to just listen and not to react to your story you've just created. because I believe it's normally the furthest from the truth and what really is going on. When you look deep into your reaction, why you're feeling the way you are, and why you're creating these issues, and why you're always defending yourself by running away, or the fear energy, is normally because of childhood trauma, normally because of what your teachers did at school, what your family or your mother or father did or didn't do. And I think what we have to always remember is that it is not our fault we are like this. And if we can put that to one side and always keep it there and say, oh, I'm triggered, that's not my fault, that is something that happened to me as a child, and now I have to learn to fix this, to get rid of that, and to change my thought process, to change the way I am. So I think it's really, really important that we understand that our reactions, our weaknesses are not ours. They are something that were given to us, and it then becomes part of who we are. So we have to recognize it's something that we can take out, put onto a shelf and say, okay, that isn't me. That was what happened to me as a child. So when you then realize that the reaction isn't you, it isn't you. You are beautiful. You are amazing. You're gorgeous. You're powerful. You're so intelligent. You're so magical. You're so wise. But this thing that kicks in, this little demon, this little glitch in your matrix, it isn't you. It isn't you. It is just part of something that triggers you, that you have to identify and say, this isn't me. And then you change the chip, you change your thought, and you grow out of that. You don't ever allow that in your life again, because you recognize that that isn't you. It is what was a conditioning. It was what was programmed into you. So it's a natural reaction to be this person, but it isn't you. That reaction is what you're used to. It's what you've felt. It's how you've always reacted, but it isn't the essence of you. It's just a reaction. It's a knee-jerk reaction. So it's nice, isn't it? It's getting dark now. It's lovely. The lights are all coming out. It's beautiful. It takes time, guys. It's not an instant fix. You can't just go for a healing session and then you become an enlightened person and that thing, and even if you do recognize it and say, okay, I've recognized it now, okay, I'm better now. No, it takes time. And what you have to do is work at it. You have to work at seeing that reaction. Oh my God, here I go again. This is me again. This is my stuff again. This is my fears again. This is my issue. What am I going to do with that stuff? Take it away, put it on a shelf. That isn't me. That isn't me. It isn't me. It is something that you need to identify it by saying, that isn't me. This isn't me. This isn't a reaction to how I've been brought up. So by separating that and saying it's not me, and forgiving yourself, and then saying sorry if you react, that wasn't me, that was the conditioning. By always pushing that to one side and saying, hey, that isn't me, by repeating that to yourself. Every time you knee-jerk, that isn't me, here we go again. So what do I need to do? You eventually start to recognize that more as a foreign entity in your life and in your whole psyche. Once you've done that, then you can make the separation. Once you've separated it, then that becomes enemy number one that you want to get rid of for the rest of your life. So from you thinking it's you to you knowing it's something else that you don't like, and it wasn't me and it wasn't my fault, all of a sudden now you have a point of focus over here, because it's not you. It's this blooming thing that keeps coming back. So now you're able to identify it, which means you're able to recognize it, and it means that you're able to say that isn't me. So then you're not feeling bad or guilty. And from there, you can create a better and a happier relationship, not just with your partner, but more about with yourself. And that's a great start. And I hope this little video helps you to start to see that you are a beautiful soul, and we all react because of how we've been treated as children, and sometimes past life as well. That's got a massive influence on us as well, because sometimes we don't know why we react like that. And sometimes if you go into past life, you can see that's why I reacted. So I'll give you for instance, I've got a really good friend who's a very powerful and strong person, okay, really powerful. I remember somebody went over to him and just as a friend said hello, but slapped him on the back of his head, hiya, and hit him on the back of the head, not hard. How you doing, buddy? This guy turned round and nearly broke this guy's nose and nearly killed him. We dragged him off and we asked what happened, what was that all about? As he said, someone done something to you. It all turns out that the lad who did this, he just turned into a monster, was hit by his father on his head all his life, over the head, and it was a reaction to that very thing that his father did, that this guy didn't know. His mate hit him over the head and he just wanted to kill him. What I'm trying to say is that sometimes people react, and if you've got a husband or a wife and they react to you in a reaction that you think, what the hell is going on? You need to sometimes think and realize that they're not reacting to you, they're reacting to something that has triggered them, of a memory of a childhood or a trauma that something's happened. And if you can recognize that, what you can do is talk to your partner about it and say, you know, I heard this crazy guy on YouTube. He's a bit of a nutter, but I think he might have a point that, you know, when you react sometimes, or maybe better if you say, you know, when I react sometimes, I think I'm reacting not because it's me, but because of something that happened to me. Do you think we can talk about it? Maybe you can help me so I can grow stronger from reacting at certain situations that I have with you. By doing that, you are cleverly creating a really good way for your partner to say, wow, you know, how beautiful is my partner wanting to heal themselves and grow stronger. And then your partner says, well, maybe you can help me. And then you help each other. So I guess tonight, we're going into the dark now. It's lovely, isn't it? We're going into the dark. Full moon's out. Ooh, I used to be a werewolf, but I'm all right now. Hey, so maybe the ultimate tonight, the ultimate message is, I think it is a beautiful idea to learn to look at your knee-jerk reactions and ask yourself, how can I heal myself from them? And what is it that is making me react that way that maybe I could fix and heal, possibly one day, to become the most happiest loving soul, and no matter what anybody says, it will never affect me because I have nothing to react about, because I've healed my past. That, my dear friends, is today's, this evening's, tonight's beautiful message to you. If we react, it's because we've probably been traumatized as a child one way or another. Okay guys, have a beautiful, beautiful day, morning, evening, night, wherever you are in this world. Thank you so much for coming to Mark Bajerski YouTube channel and watching it. Thank you for going to Mark Bajerski Crystal's channel, the new channel. I put another video up today on tiger's eye, blue tiger and red tiger's eye. It's quite a nice video. I think you'll like it. And I'll make one tomorrow again. And thank you for going to markbajerski.com and choosing your genuine crystals. There's over 3,000 on there now, I think. So put your feet up, grab a cuppa and enjoy scrolling down, and maybe, just maybe, a crystal may choose you. Have a great and wonderful day, whatever you're doing, from my heart to yours. Take care of yourselves. Bye bye from Ubud Ballet. Isn't it beautiful? Take a look.